Hello, YouTube. This is Dennis Pabis with OPDC. Recently, PsychU hosted a webinar titled The Impact of Systemic Racism on Black Americans' Wellness. During the discussion, our speakers discussed what is racism, how systemic racism impacts wellness, and finally, what can we do together to deconstruct the framework of racism. As always, the presentation was sponsored by Otsuka Pharmaceutical Development and Commercialization and Lundbeck LLC, committed supporters of the mental health treatment community. Speakers are paid consultants to OPDC, and I am an employee of OPDC. Let's look at a few clips from the webinar.
So my question to Dr. Higgins is, how does racism specifically impact the Black American community in terms of health and wellness?
Very, very good question. And when we look at this issue of chronic kidney disease, and we look at the issues that attack the kidneys, you have to look at the problem of chronic stress, in that you live in a chronic stress and a constant reminder through microaggressions, through media, through work, that you're honestly, your brain is in a situation where you're constantly under attack and you're worrying all the time. And I speak about my daughter. I know once that she was going to the movies. She said the movie was supposed to start at 3. Somebody didn't show up on time, so the next movie wasn't supposed to start till 7. But what they did is decide to catch a movie in between. And when I was calling her, she didn't pick up. Now she's about 13, 14 years old. Now, the thing that comes to my mind is something is wrong and what's happened. And as a Black man in America, my mindset goes to, they must have her. Who was the they? I'm thinking of the system. And when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking about the American system. All right. Why does that happen? Because I'm going back historically in my mind on how Black young girls would be treated in a country where they spent, realizing our time here in the country, that most of the time was spent as slaves who have no ownership of their own bodies. So why would that come to my mind? Well, that's a generational issue of not being able to trust the system to take care of us and our families. So this issue of chronic stress on cortisol causes your adrenal glands to constantly be running, pushing this energy, pushing high blood pressure. Your blood sugars are running off when your cortisol levels are high. Cholesterol is off. So you're causing these issues that eventually impact the kidneys, but impact the entire body. So Black people are more likely to die of every illness in America because of this chronic stress that we go through. Now, some people would say, well, that's because of the middle passage and salt retention. No. Understand that Black people live shorter lives in America than just about anywhere else, including almost every country in Africa. Now, when you look at the intergenerational effects of racism, and one interesting study that came out, this study had to be, I give it about 10 years of old at this point. They showed that Black women have smaller birth weights and more complications during pregnancy. And then as of recent, we've seen the 2019 study, where Black women are more likely to die during childbirth. All right. And this was really kicked off, in the news by a pediatric chief resident who died in the hospital, who was of good health, good economic status, good insurance, top facility in the area, and she still died at the hospital. Well, what is odd about prenatal care with Black women is that the more money they make, the more likely they are to die during childbirth. All right. So your money, your education does not protect you from death during childbirth. So this constant racial discrimination that has occurred, where we don't get the same care, comes directly from the issue of directly from the issue of racism from the beginning of the start in this country. You look at the issues of births, and you find that the most recent study was in 2020. And to me, I think the COVID pandemic has caused us not to see a whole lot of things. But the study done in 2020 showed that Black children, Black newborns born in this particular hospital, had 2 to 3 times more likely of dying in the hospital if they were assigned a white physician versus a Black physician. 2 to 3 times more likely to die. So the fact is that I don't think these physicians wake up and say, I'm gonna allow Black children to die. I don't think that is occurring, or at least I hope not. What is occurring is that we don't see people as the same. So when we were brought to this country, we were brought over as comers. all right? The ability to make money and bring money to the country in America. The Black woman's body was seen as commerce, as a way to give birth to Black babies, understanding that we had stopped slavery in the early 1800s, but you saw an explosion of Black slaves. One, we started grabbing people who were not slaves and making them slaves. Two, there was some issue of bringing in and smuggling slaves in. But sadly, what happened and I hate to just tell, no, I don't hate to tell you the truth. I'll just tell you what it is. This systematic raping of Black slaves in the 1800s caused an explosion of more slaves, where masters would rape their Black female slaves and then enslave their own children. Understanding in America, 1 out of 5 white people in America actually has Black genes. So not only did it happen to Black people, many white people, it happened to you as well. 1 out of 5. And if you live in the South, that's 1 out of 3. I would say if you have been in America since 1800, chances are you have Black genes inside of your body. So the issue of birth and infancy and not seeing people as people, but seeing people as product, seeing people as seeing people not in their normal human state, causes a person not to recognize and notice. And the people who go through this also are impacted, where you're affecting the mother, the birth, as well as the growth of the infancy and the child. And then we talk about the issues of childhood issues and adult issues all throughout the life cycle, throughout multiple generations. We're seeing this impact in our country, and it's something that we must know, acknowledge, and then also address.
Thank you for watching our YouTube teaser. If you'd like to watch the entire presentation on PsychU.org, please click the link in the description to head to our website. You can also take a look at our upcoming webinars there. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and have a great day.